Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to welcome you to Primetime Brazil, a program part of Ocean Now. It's already been 2 years since I had the privilege to be together with the Brazilian delegation that visited Norrshipping in Oslo in 2019. No one would, at that time, have thought that our next meeting would be through our screens. But as we build anticipation to finally meet in person at Norrshipping in January 2022, we need to make use of technology to keep discussing the challenges and opportunities in the maritime sector. This industry is faced with enormous opportunities as it prepares itself for a low-carbon future and for the development of new ocean industries. This is also an industry that has never feared challenges, constantly seeking innovation to sail through the most unknown waters. For Norway and Brazil, this sector is indeed a symbol of collaboration. For decades, Norwegian and Brazilian companies have developed businesses and technologies together. In fact, according to our latest report on Norwegian investments in Brazil, the maritime, offshore, and oil and gas sectors together represented 65% of Norwegian investments in the country. Norway also has over 50% presence in the most specialized vessel fleet operating on the Brazilian continental shelf. So, as you can see, Brazil continues to be a relevant commercial partner for Norwegian companies in the sector. The program today will bring together specialists from both countries, talking about the technological endeavors and the business opportunities in Brazil. This is currently one of the most important offshore markets in the world. But such relevance also comes with great responsibility. Ocean is a transnational issue, and action toward it calls for a collaborative approach. That is why Norway and Brazil have, together with 193 countries, signed the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Our two countries have committed to take action so that we can reach them all by 2030. It's an ambitious target, but there is no option to fail. Smaller or larger actions add up to making a difference. One of the goals commits us to conserve and sustainably use the world's oceans, seas, and marine resources. The world depends on the contribution from all of us, behaving as responsible international citizens by keeping our commitments. New economic developments must be prepared to address a low-carbon future, generate jobs, and create new business opportunities. I am confident that Norwegian companies and technologies are ready, willing and able to collaborate with Brazil in this effort. I would like to thank Abran, NBCC, and the Norwegian Shipowners Association for putting together such an exciting program today. I wish you all good and productive sessions, and that they inspire us all to come together, this time hopefully in person, at Norrshipping in Oslo in January 2020. I thank you all, and I would now like to pass the word on to my dear colleague, Mr. Felipe Meira, the president of Abran. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. First, on behalf of Abram members, partners, and sponsors, I would like to thank the distinguished moderators and guest speakers who kindly accept our invitation to join us today for a prime time of Brazil by Brazil at Norrshipping. We are truly happy and grateful to have you here. I want to take this opportunity and express my deepest sympathies for the COVID-19 pandemic in the world, and particularly in Brazil. We're still living challenging times, but one of the things that does make me feel hopeful is that with less than 1 year after the outbreak and spread of the virus, we are able to collaborate and create new vaccines in different parts of the world and start to roll out an impressive scale. I believe that we need form of cooperation between different sectors and across borders to solve common challenges that we face. So maybe we could apply the same spirit and find ways and concrete actions to solve the climate emergency, creating ways for a sustainable future. Today's talk shows team up industry experts, represent different segments of the ocean industry to reflect of the importance of cooperation to solve concrete problems and showcase the actions that are already in place towards the energy transition and green shipping. We have prepared an exciting program for you that will start with Deputy Minister José Mauro Ferreira from the Ministry of Mines and Energy, presenting the government initiatives towards the energy transitions, followed by a blue economy and green ship sessions. It has been 2 years since some of us were together in Lillestrøm, Norway, at the Brazil at North Shipping Seminar, discussing what was happening in Brazil and what were the perspectives. None of us could predict that a pandemic would hit us all and postpone our plans to return to Norway in the spring this year. We are excited with the opportunity to safely travel again and meet you all in Norway in person in January 2022 for the North Shipping. I'm really happy to inform you all that we are already working for the Brazil at North Shipping 2022 agenda. I wish you all to enjoy this great show. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I am grateful to Consul General Ms. Marian Fosland and the President at Abram, Mr. Felipe Meira, for the invitation to present in the prime time Brazil the important actions of the Brazilian government to boost the energy transition in the country. In 2017, the Brazilian government created the Brazilian National Biofuels Policy, denominated RenovaBio, instituted by law. Ministry of Mines and Energy designed the program in a collaborative way with contribution from different stakeholders with the following aims: contribute to the Brazilian commitment in the Paris Agreement, provide appropriate energy efficiency and reduction of greenhouse gases emissions, promote the expansion and use of biofuels in the Brazilian transport matrix, and present predictability to the participation of different biofuels in the national fuel markets. RenovaBio is composed by 3 strategic axes. In the first one, annually, the government established national decarbonization targets for 10 years, which are unfolded into mandatory individual targets for fuel distributors, proportional to their shares in the fossil fuel markets. In the second X, biofuel producers voluntarily certify their production and receive, as a result, energy environmental sufficient scores. These scores are multiplied by the volume of biofuel traded, resulting in the decarbonization credit, denominated CBio, that a producer can be traded on the stock exchange, which is the third axis. One CBio is equivalent to 1 ton of CO2 avoided into the atmosphere. More recently, on May the 17th, the federal government published a resolution of the National Energy Policy Council that created the Fuel of the Future program, which aims to integrate public policy related to the automotive and fuel sectors and to assess energy environmental efficiency. The Fuel of the Future Committee will coordinate the work that will be carried out based on broad debate with society. One of the themes that will be discussed is the automotive industry tendency to electrify its platforms, mainly on light-duty vehicles. The battery-powered electric vehicle has been presented as the answer to new mobility challenges. However, we know that there are aspects that indicate that its dissemination may not occur at the same pace around the world. Today, we know that bioenergy has a fundamental role in the complement the energy matrix, improving fossil fuels and valuing the vocation that our country has for the production of biomass and biofuels. The Brazilian consumer today has vehicles that, from an environmental point of view, from well to wheel, emit less pollutants than the electric vehicle. This is due to biofuels, which pollute less. We believe that we can do bioelectrification or the technology development of an electric vehicle powered by ethanol using fuel cell technology. Therefore, we will guide the debate to see what technological challenges must be overcome so that we have the combination of bioenergy and electrification of vehicles in the transport sector. In this way, we will be able to provide a truly clean and sustainable mobility solution. Thank you.
Hello, it's my pleasure to be here today, and I'd like to start by thanking Abram and Brazil at North Shipping for inviting me to this roundtable together with my colleague Rafael Tristão from Equinor, Marcelo Xavier from Subsea 7, and Mauro Andrade from Prumo. So the subject of our session has to do with the blue economy in the context of COP26 and what is going on around climate change worldwide. As we all know, climate change is one of our greatest challenge. The greatest challenge may be that society and companies face today, together with the growing awareness and pressure to act, including the pressure coming from investors, financial investors, institutional investors. Net zero commitments by countries already reach 70% of global carbon emissions and more than 70% of global GDP. At the same time, companies with net zero targets tripled between 2019 and 2020, totaling more than 1,500 up to now. COP26 may bring additional and more robust targets, as well as carbon market rules and contributions to meet the Paris Agreement. In this scenario, what is the role of the blue economy? And more specifically, how does Brazil's offshore industry fit into this? Brazil's successful story in the offshore industry should not threaten energy transition efforts. On the contrary, we can leverage on our strong offshore capabilities to fulfill an energy transition that is secure and that benefit from a diverse set of sources, including, but not limited, new technologies such as offshore wind, blue hydrogen, carbon capture, and deep water storage in depleted oil and gas fields, for example. The offshore context is already critical to our Brazilian energy sector, as approximately 96% of the oil and 81% of the natural gas are today produced offshore, according to ANP data. At the same time, considering the global energy transition, Brazil is also well positioned to capture the opportunities with wind offshore generation. Currently, the country has a couple of offshore wind farms projects under development, mainly in the Northeast region. Estimates point to a potential capacity around 700 gigawatt in Brazilian offshore sites, up to 50 meters deep, which is almost 3.5 times installed capacity today. Considering other areas of the blue economy, there are also opportunities to enhance maritime means of transport within the country. Different products could be shipped by cabotage or short sea between Brazilian regions, contributing to a more sustainable transportation matrix, reducing logistic costs, and promoting competition between modes. So having this setup in mind, I would like to thank you once again for having me for this conversation today, but open the floor to our speakers. And I'd like to start by calling Rafael Tristão from Equinor. Rafael, Equinor has a lot on its plate when it comes to energy transition, with targets to reduce carbon footprint, but also to develop new technologies such as offshore wind. How does Brazil fit into Equinor's strategy?
Great question, Clarissa. Equinor wants to be a leader in the energy transition. We believe that in order to do that, we must be able to take out the synergies between our oil and gas portfolio and the renewable energies. Climate change is a global challenge. And in order to fight that, we need to be able to have a global cooperation and coordinated efforts across society, governments, industries, and also change in consumer behavior. Equinor set an ambition to be a net zero energy company by 2050. We are going to invest 15 to 20% of our capital in renewable energies by 2030. By 2035, we plan to have our installed capacity of renewable energy 30 times bigger than what we have today. This clearly demonstrates our commitment to long-term value creation in line with the goals of the Paris Agreement. Of course, Brazil fits really well with that strategy. The country has abundant natural resources: wind, solar, oil, and gas. We have already invested more than $11 billion in the country, and we are progressing with our plans to invest another $15 billion by the end of 2030. We have a solid oil and gas portfolio, and we are on the path to building our renewable projects. In fact, the first solar investment in the global Equinor was done in Brazil, in the Ceará state, where we have been producing energy since 2018. In this segment, we are further maturing business opportunities. Recently, we have signed an MOU with Norsk Hydro for a potential build-up of a solar plant of around 480 megawatts in the region of Rio Grande do Norte. And we have also signed an MOU with our partner, Porto do Açu, to study a potential development of another solar plant in the port region to capture the synergies of that industrial complex. We are also studying opportunities with the offshore wind. We have experience in developing large offshore deep water projects, and we also believe in our technology DNA. We have been given the responsibility to build the largest offshore wind project in the world. That is the Dogger Bank in the UK. And also one of the biggest in New York, the Empire Wind. We have made studies to develop a possible offshore wind park in the regions of Rio de Janeiro and Espírito Santo with a possible power generation of around 4 gigawatts, enough to power up almost 2 million Brazilian homes. Of course, the maturity level of the Brazilian market, we still need to see some progress in the regulatory framework, but we see regularity and availability in the winds across the Brazilian coast. As important as investing in renewable energies, it is also important that we continue to invest in solutions to produce more efficiently and also to reduce the emissions in our oil and gas operations. In Peregrino, our current operating assets, we are going to replace diesel by natural gas from the imported network. This will lead to the reduction of 25% in the current CO2 emissions from our asset. In addition to that, together with our suppliers and partners, we are implementing digitalization and technological solutions that, in total, will amount for a reduction of 145,000 tons of CO2 per year. Just to put in perspective, this is equivalent to removing 30,000 cars out of the streets every year. In Bacalhau, our project in development, we aim to bring an FPSO on stream in 2024. This will be the first unit in Brazil to utilize the combined cycle methodology, which will increase energy efficiency and also reduce emissions. We are also investing in optimizing our logistic fleet to reduce emissions via optimization of diesel consumption. We are currently studying the market to utilize opportunities by using hybrid boats in our offshore supply vessels. To conclude, Equinor wants to be a leader in the energy transition. That will require coordinated global efforts, and as important as investing in renewable energies, we also need to continue to invest in solutions to be able to produce more efficiently and reduce emissions in our current oil and gas operations. Thank you very much, Clarissa.
Thank you, Rafael. And if I have to, in a nutshell, summarize what you have just said, I believe that Equinor is very well positioned globally, but also in Brazil, to add up decarbonization efforts into the oil and gas production to diversification towards renewable. So more to come, hopefully, from Equinor in Brazil and globally as well. Marcelo, Subsea 7 already has 1/4 of its global revenues coming from renewable projects. What do we need to get Brazil on the spotlight when it comes to this diversification?
Thanks, Clarissa. It's a pleasure to be with you today, with Rafael, with Mauro, to address such an interesting topic. So we know the market is not yet there in Brazil. So we know, and we heard from Rafael, that we are still in early days, despite all the potential that we know we have in Brazil, not only offshore, but also onshore when it comes to renewables. We are still in early days for offshore wind. So when we see Subsea 7 having 20% of its backlog in renewables projects, they are mainly driven by other regions that are pushing quickly the opportunities on offshore wind. We see North Sea in Europe being a key area where big projects are coming. We see Asia in Taiwan, so also an area where big projects are being developed. And now the US as well, plugging into their agenda very specific demand for renewables to be coming during the next years. So in Brazil, I think we have a journey to go through regulatory framework, and I think we have the opportunity here also to learn from other regions that are 1 or 2 steps ahead, and they are managing to reduce quickly the cost related to these developments. We are seeing different turbines nowadays being much cheaper and capable to deliver much more capacity. We are seeing also the cost on batteries. We are seeing cost of the technology that we are plugging in a much lower level compared to when this segment started to develop its project. So despite being a bit, again, 1 or 2 steps behind, I think when we are able to unlock the market, the license, and have the regulatory framework updated to allow players to come, I think we will be in a sweet spot to develop the future. And I think we also, as Rafael addressed, we need to put that in perspective of our own natural resources. So there is for sure a fantastic opportunity for Brazil to decarbonize its own oil and gas reserves, because the way that we see pre-salt compared to other reserves around the globe, the affordable energy that we have in Brazil, we really need to take this window of opportunity to address these resources and create prosperity for the country and create wealth for our people. And I think our companies, they are really in an agenda these days that they are able to promote a decarbonization of the oil and gas through technology. And we know how to develop technology. If I bring specifically to Brazil and the agenda that Subsea 7 is pushing locally, despite not having a market on offshore wind and on emerging new energies such as hydrogen and carbon capture storage, as we see in other regions, we are already implementing some actions in here to reduce the emissions that we have in operations. So I'll mention two. One is a carbon estimator tool that we have the capacity to check how much carbon we would be delivering through our subsea infrastructure for a given field. So we are able to, depending on the requests coming from our clients, to change the subsea infrastructure so that through those changes, we are able to deliver an optimized solution where carbon is the key driver. The reduction on carbon emission is the key driver. Second one, we are piloting aboard one of our pipeline support vessels, a digital twin where we can also predict how the vessel will behave under such weather conditions so that we are again managing to optimize its power consumption, therefore also reducing significantly emissions. So there are ways for us to promote technology, there are ways for us to reduce carbon emissions. And to conclude, I want to mention that I really believe, and in Subsea 7, we really believe that we really also to inspire people to make a change and to promote a change. We need to connect with the new generation. Otherwise, we'll never get there. So we are partners of Fábrica de Startups Innovation Center here in Rio. And we keep interacting with the ecosystem, with the startups, raising the business challenge to themselves and asking people from different sectors with different backgrounds to come and suggest solutions for us to address such complex topic that we have these days. So we are nowadays running the last phase of our program with them that is also supported by the Innovation Norway, where we are asking open questions. How do we minimize carbon emission of our operations and our onshore assets? So it's quite exciting to see people really joining, coming from different backgrounds, different nationalities, bringing also diversity to the table. And I'm sure that through this open collaboration, we are able to deliver some fantastic results. Thanks again, Clarissa. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you, Marcelo, and very pleased to see that Subsea 7 has a different set of strategies, both combining, I would say, efficiency, but also new technologies, thanks to also innovation in partnership with the startups, which is something very important nowadays, but also counting on a sound regulatory framework to advance those new technologies such as offshore wind, hydrogen, and CCS. So hopefully we'll have more to come in the near future when it comes to our institutional context. Mauro Andrade, you have now joined the Prumo as a business development director, and Prumo is positioning itself as in this field of energy transition and the required infrastructure to support all the advancements, including green and blue hydrogen projects, maybe in the medium term. So what are the concrete actions being delivered in the, I would say, short to medium term at Prumo?
Thank you, Clarissa, and thank you, the organizers, Abraham, for inviting Prumo to this session. Indeed, energy transition is a very important topic for Prumo and for the clients that operate in our complex. Our vision for Port of Açu is based in 3 growth pillars, and these pillars will be somehow interconnected and will have simultaneous operations. So the first one is, of course, the expansion of our core capabilities. We are a port. We are devoted to support oil and gas operations. But it's also a second pillar, industrial development based on the availability of feedstock that we have coming to the port, either natural gas or iron ore or the other pieces of infrastructure that we have. A third and very important pillar, which dialogues with this session here, is to look for what we call the business of the future, the low carbon and sustainable business. And within that area, I think Port of Açu is very well positioned to offer a complete renewable value chain, from solar or offshore wind generation to equipment manufacturing and logistics. So in that sense, we've been looking a lot at hydrogen, especially the green hydrogen part, as an energy carrier or as a clean feedstock for industry of the industrialization that future clients may want to have at the facility. It's important to stress out that this green hydrogen route, it's also an enabler for green chemicals. For example, ammonia production or fertilizers production, green ammonia, green fertilizers. So there is a lot of your question is concrete action. So there's a lot of actions that Prumo and the companies that operate there are taking to be able to flourish that environment that will allow us to explore this business of the future. I would point out maybe 3 or 4 main actions. And first of all, one that has been mentioned by Rafael, we have an MOU with Equinor to develop a solar plant at the Açu port. That's an important step in the right direction to have the availability of renewable being generated in the Açu. Prumo is also in the process of licensing an offshore wind farm in an area which is geographically in front of the Açu port. We are also, as you know, we have availability of water, which is something critical for hydrogen when we're talking about hydrogen. So the availability of energy, renewable energy, the availability of water, the world-class outbound logistics that we have at the port makes us to claim that we are a perfect location for green hydrogen investments. A fourth point that I would like to stress is precisely the MOU that we have signed with Fortescue, which is one of the biggest iron ore producers in the world. Fortescue is a global international player. They have mentioned that they want to be net zero by 2030. And with this MOU with them, we are accessing the feasibility of a green hydrogen plant at Açu. This would be a 300-watt capacity plant that would be able to export up to 250,000 tons of hydrogen per year. So it's a sizable plant when you look at what we have in the world as of today. We are basically turning renewable energy into a global commodity because hydrogen will become a bulk product. In the very specific case of this MOU with the Fortescue, we have decided to choose the route of green ammonia, so we will convert the hydrogen into green ammonia. The off-takers will probably be companies in the Asia, mainly Japan, but also in Europe. It does making this product a commodity, a global commodity. It's extremely important that the global class logistics that we have at the port, they play a very important role because that will allow the off-takers to get this product in a competitive manner. So we are very excited that we can make Port of Açu as sustainable as possible from the beginning all the way until the end of the value chain. And I think the green hydrogen is an excellent example of that. Just to illustrate that, of course, we need to mature the regulatory framework in this subject in Brazil as well. There's no much regulatory framework. We know that the MME, the Ministry of Mines and Energy, is looking to have some sort of a reference term within the next couple months that could start framing the business area, the business envelope that these activities will be developed in Brazil. So, but we are not waiting. We are doing our parts as private investors, investigate business plan and the feasibility of doing this in Brazil, which will certainly be a remarkable achievement in Porto do Açu and also for Prumo. So I think in a nutshell, Clarissa, these are the concrete actions that we are doing towards making us a significant player in the renewable value chain, but also in looking to the business of the future.
plans, Mauro, and congratulations, and really looking forward. You have solar, but you're also mentioning the licensing of a wind offshore farm, in addition to the hydrogen plant, the green hydrogen plant. So as and Rafael and Marcelo also mentioned, what I get from the panel is that the companies are not limiting their technological options to one route, but diversifying, testing, and piloting projects, and of course, counting on a very friendly and attractive business context. So with that, I would like to thank you all of three very much. Thank again the organizers of this event, Abram and Brazil at North Shipping. Not without concluding that we are living very exciting times, and that Brazil definitely can be a hub for development of new energy sources. But in order to do that in a competitive way, we have to count, of course, on the development of these new technologies, on resources available, and be willing to come to Brazil, and on first-class companies such as the one we have here on this panel to really deploy and develop these new technologies here. So thank you very much, and looking forward next steps from all these companies. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon. I would like first to thank Ricardo César Fernandes from Abram and also NSA for this invitation to be here sharing with you this talk show, Ocean Now, Brazil at North Shipping. And it's a great pleasure to attend, and we are going to discuss a hot topic, green shipping. This is a topic that I believe it's the most important nowadays because it's related to environment, and I believe everybody has been passing through this hard moment of COVID. So it's how we are going to develop the environment in the future, I believe it's everybody's minds. So we are going to have as speakers Jonas Matos from DNV. He's the Business Development Manager for Latin America. And also we are going to have Pedro Dias from Consbec. He's the Senior Sales Manager of Consbec. And myself, as a moderator, my name is Camila Mendes Viana Cardoso, and I am a Senior Partner at Kincaid Law Firm. Thank you very much for all of you to attend today this meeting. We are going to start with Jonas. Jonas, the main question is, how was the impact of green shipping to the ship owners?
Well, first of all, thank you, Camila, and the organizers for this invitation. And actually, this is really, as you mentioned, a hot topic because the ship owners, they have some dilemmas to deal with. There are some vessels in the fleet that they might consider to doing some retrofits or doing some operational, I would say, change in the way that they do business. Or in other cases, they have to get new buildings to replace existing vessels that would not be candidates for a higher performance on the green shipping. Why? Because the agenda is becoming more and more, I would say, active under the ship owners' agenda and decisions for the future in doing business. Mm-hmm. This became a topic that started with, connected with the United Nations initiative, mm-hmm. and IMO is part of this. But today, we cannot only see IMO requirements, but also some other entities like the Cargo Charters Organization or Poseidon Principles for the financing institutions that are connected to the green shipping initiatives. Then, from the operation point of view, for a decision on CapEx, for new investments, or either from getting attractive money for this is crucial for them.
Thank you. And Pedro, I have a question for you. You work for Kongsberg, which is a leading in terms of technology, a 200 years company from Norway. And we know Kongsberg has had many projects with some partners in relation to green shipping. Can you share with us some of these programs that Kongsberg was involved?
Sure. First, Camila, thank you for the invitation. It's a glad to be here. Well, Kongsberg has been a leader on maritime technology, and we have been providing all sort of different solutions for green shipping team. So I can list a couple of projects, more important projects, where we have been playing a very important role worldwide. I would start with Yara Birkeland, which is probably the most famous, let's say, project we have been involved with. It's a full electric vessel that is we work for Yara transporting goods from Breivik to Larvik. It will be full autonomous in the future. It will start with remote operation. So this is a big thing, and we have been promoting a lot this new concept. Besides that, we have Monsterly, which is a joint venture between Kongsberg Maritime and Wilhelmsen. This will be also a company focused on autonomy and low emission vessels, basically to shift the roadway transportation to short sea and also inland waterways. We have Autoship Project, which is a consortium of 11 different companies, also to relieve road congestion through autonomous ships. We have ASCO. We had a bunch of hybrid powered solutions for mainly for offshore vessels. And we truly believe that this will be the new shape of maritime industry worldwide.
Regarding these new projects, can you share with us a little bit about the Brazilian initiatives regarding green shipping? Is the Brazilian authorities, do you have any information regarding Brazil?
Yeah, this is very interesting because you know that Brazil is a powerhouse in terms of renewable energy. There's lots of hydropower, huge potential in wind power, also solar power. Then Brazil is a natural candidate to be one of the leading countries in the world about this. And green shipping, of course, is part of this game. Then, yes, indeed, we already have some initiatives in the country locally related to using fuels that are more environmental friendly. As an example, we can mention that DNV has also two initiatives on the offshore supply vessels segment for using hybrid battery-powered vessels. We are actually, the contract is in force, conversion. And we have also on the inland waterways, one initiative related to pushers. Then electric power pushers will be also new vessels sailing in the Amazon area. It's all about, green shipping, green environment. This is a huge potential for the country. Yes.
So it's very interesting to learn that the Brazilian ship owners are already investing in green shipping. I think this is not very well known. No?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are other companies in the country that are investing in some also innovative technologies. And they are investigating the use of like fuel cells or flattening rotters that the wind assistance for propulsion. But we have also initiatives on, as I mentioned, battery or LNG as a very, I would say, suitable fuel for the transition phase towards the zero-emission initiative. Then in Brazil, I would say we have quite a few, but there will be more to come. I really agree on this.
It's good to hear. Thank you. And Pedro, you talk about the Yara Birkeland project. I know that the numbers are quite high of the reduction in case of Yara Birkeland, the autonomous vessel. Can you maybe share with us more details about this project?
Sure. Yara Birkeland started a couple of weeks couple of years ago, as when Yara came to us asking for an environmental friendly solution to shift roadway transportation of some of their goods between Breivik and Larvik Port, as I mentioned. And then we came with this full electric vessel concept, which will be zero emission. And then it all started from there. So, and to finish the business case, we found out that we should have something more to enable the investment, which is, of course, higher in the case of a full electric vessel. So then we focus on offering a more like autonomous concept to the vessel so we could reduce OPEX. As we all know, crew cost is a big part of overall cost of operating a vessel. So then by enabling autonomy on this vessel, we can actually justify the investment and make sure it's a profitable solution on the long term. So this is what Yara Birkeland is about. It's a very unique pioneer concept to show worldwide what we can do with autonomy and low emission.
Okay, thank you. And Jonas, since he is talking about efficiency, do you think Brazil is prepared in terms of infrastructure to receive all this new technology and new fuels? How we are going to deal with that in our ports and in our everyday life?
Yeah, that's a good point. For some technologies like battery fuel, it's a matter of jumping because you just as you are, tracking all the information about electric cars in the society. I mean, the hybrid electric solutions is not dependent on too much technology for infrastructure. But when it comes to LNG, for instance, or biofuels, which Brazil is also a good candidate to adopt, although these technologies are mature, we need the proper infrastructure to bunker the vessels. Then, as we recently got from very interesting decisions from the legislative point of view, the new gas market regulation is now on board in the country. And this new gas market regulation is a kind of attractive new segment for newcomers to play or even existing companies to expand their business in the gas market. And that's what a natural consequence. We are going to see more, floating storage and gas units along the Brazilian coast. And why not just taking this chance and use that facilities as yes, there is a lack in the infrastructure today on the LNG or LPG, for instance, good transition fuels. But my expectation is that it will come in a couple of years.
Yeah, I believe probably the international public, they don't realize how Brazil is advanced in terms of LNG. Myself, I participate in a project. It was one of the first projects in the world regarding regasification vessels. And we have now this as many projects at the same time in Brazil. So this is really, and it's a big reduction of gas emissions. So it will be very good for the country. In relation to that, Pedro, maybe you can explore about what kind of projects Kongsberg is in terms of short distance and long distance kind of trips, how they see the future, how we can reduce the gas emission in the future for this type of projects.
Yes, for short sea shipping, basically, we are competing directly with cheap and very polluting trucks that quite often can get stuck in traffic. So it is a challenge, but it is a very efficient solution to replace by ships with low emission. So we see this as a very good opportunity for enabling low emission vessels to do this short trip, as I mentioned, full electric. but also autonomy to make it more, to make a lower OPEX for the owner. And for instance, the Autobiclet aims to replace about 40,000 truck trips a year. So that's huge. And we're talking about really, really big numbers to be saved. So, and when it comes to deep sea shipping, it's a little bit more complicated because it's not really feasible to have such a large battery battery size on board a ship. In case we're talking about the electric, but we have different alternatives such as digitalization, where we can actually monitor the fuel consumption, the vessel performance, and make sure that these trips they're more efficient. They're using less fuel for the trips by using the engines in a smart way. So that's what we have been focused on the long distance ships, and we have been very successful on that.
Okay. So just to maybe finishing our time here, what about the future? How do you see the future in Brazil? And this question will be for both, the green shipping industry in the future in Brazil.
Well, as you know, shipping is a very global business. Then Brazil is part of this supply chain in the segments of like iron ore or oil production, grain transportation, containers. Then it's a natural expectation that as the regulatory will increase and will be more strict, the country needs to fulfill that requirement as well. The future will come from what we call low-hanging fruits, which is now for operations, actions, or initiatives that, although we don't need to put lots of money, we can get benefits towards transition fuels like LNG or LPG. But then, in the end, we are going to have this zero-emissions fuels adoption, which will be, by 2050. Then there is a long way that we need to go. But we are going.
Thank you, Jonas. And so you believe 2050 we are going to have zero? Myself, we are here, so probably I'm wrong, but I believe we will come earlier than that.
Exactly.
Because it's going so fast nowadays, and much faster than people expect in the beginning. And I think everybody's so worried about that. So the 2050 maybe will be earlier.
Will be earlier. Yeah, absolutely.
What about you, Pedro? How do you see the future in Brazil?
Yeah, I'm very optimistic like you guys. I truly believe that we are able to achieve these zero-emission concepts before that, before 2050. So, but we should focus now on low-hanging fruits. I agree with Jonas. That's a starting point. So, LNG-powered vessels and this digitalization to operate smartly and save fuel consumption. These are technologies that are wide available in the market and is being applied on everywhere else. So we need to start here in Brazil as well.
Okay, thank you. So thank you very much for your participation, and it was great to discuss. I think this was one of the best topics that we could have chosen. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I personally agree 100% with you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Hi everyone. That was a great talk show. Thank you. Congratulations and a big thanks to our distinguished guest speakers. I'd like to give a special thanks to our leading partners, Kincaid Law Firm, Equinor, FC Stone, our Team Norway partners, Royal Norwegian Consulate General in Rio, the Norwegian Brazilian Chamber of Commerce, Norwep, and Innovation Norway, and all partners that support Brazil at North Shipping. The TV show was an excellent opportunity to showcase that the time for ocean business is now, and Brazil, one of the main offshore markets in the world, is prepared to opening up and scaling up new market opportunities in the energy and maritime sector. We still can't meet everyone, but we can still collaborate, share, and unlock opportunities together. The program gave us plenty of insights of the Brazilian market trends and opportunities, kicking off the topic discussions and building expectations towards the main North Shipping event in January 2022. The Norwegian ship owners are ocean pioneers with a remarkable presence and strong collaboration in Brazil. They have contributed to develop the prolific Brazilian oil and gas sector and position the country as one of the main offshore markets in the world. We can expect that the same impact will happen in the new frontiers of the offshore energy sector and in the green shipping transition. With this spirit, I would like to wish you all the best and invite you to join us at North Shipping 2022 from 10th to 13th of January in Norway. Thank you for your attention.